I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, welcome everyone to our November 5th Election Day Commission meeting. Remember that we are on Zoom today, and please speak one at a time and ask to be recognized. First, we will have additions to the agenda. Denny?
No.
Amy? No. Christie? No. Ernie?
No.
Myself? No.
You, just an auditor office update. And then if you guys want just an overview of what we've processed so far for the election, I've got some numbers.
Okay. Okay, everyone has gotten the October 15th regular meeting minutes and the October 28th special meeting minutes and the monthly bills. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Danny, second by Ernie. I think that's what I heard. Are there any questions on the meeting minutes or the monthly bills? Hearing none, I will call for, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion
I
carried.
guess I have one question on the minute. I know you're busy, but there's a possibility we could get him before the weekend. He always texts me on Sunday night if I got the minutes, and it's nice to sit at,
Ahead of time, yes.
yeah, if we could, if it's possible. I know you're busy, but it'd be nicer if we could sort of look at them over the weekend.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know that we have anybody for employee plans, so we will go to, Ron Jurgens for vehicle purchase.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Ron.
So I thought this year I'm trying to get a little bit of a head start on looking for vehicles and I have purchased vehicles before from the Carl Group out of Iowa. And I talked to them about purchasing some vehicles coming up, and they have some carryovers yet from 24 left. And if you look at, I need a pickup and a Tahoe. They have one of each. So that's on the pickup, it's 49,416. And on the Tahoe, it is about 49,000 something, 49,905. I can wait, but they said they'll go up about $4,000 for 25s. And I can get these right now, they're on the lot and accessible, so. Also, the state bid for, we need a Explorer. And if you look at the state bid from Nelson in there. For 49,000. We need 3 vehicles this year, so
49,665.
yeah. Yeah, 49,665, yes.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
none of these are, I guess I didn't look at all the bids yet, but no trades. I know the one didn't.
We're looking. Most of these places don't want our trades, but that being said, I have an ambulance company that I do a lot of business with, and a taxi company out of Chicago. Yes, the problem we have is that interim time between the time we get the vehicles, and then it takes about 3 to 6 months to get them built. Get all the police equipment in there, so, I need the vehicles we currently have until the time that they are built, so.
I guess I should have asked it, are you planning on selling the other ones? More or less, sooner or later then.
I am, yes, mine would go to our transport guy, court security guy. And then, the pickup, we would sell to the ambulance company at some point, so,
Okay,
yes. I will be getting rid of some of our older vehicles, yes.
thank you.
So these are 3 vehicles you are thinking about purchasing now, but going on next year's budget.
Correct,
Okay.
yes,
Just
that
wanna-
is correct.
Just wanna,
I'm sure,
Yes.
is the state bid what comparable to, or what this, you said the state bid? Just like from the last time, where,
We're off, they're $3,000 to $5,000, depending on, and it seems like that's the trend, so. I've been shopping around with our vehicles and this Carl Group, I can get them cheaper through this Carl Group than I can at a state bid price. So I try and look around at the other ones that I've used before. I have a company out of St. Cloud that Gillen Chevrolet that I bought through before too, and the Carl Group, they order 1,000 or so vehicles at a time and can get them a little cheaper than even the state bid price, but I can't on an Explorer.
well, I mean, a Tahoe's probably double that cost, you know, if you look
Yeah.
at some, so from a perspective of, I think that's pretty.
Yeah.
A good
I
price.
think this is all good.
And-
price.
Locals are good with service?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
I thought they were.
Hanson will take care of our Chevys, and they have.
Great,
Good.
great. Do I have a
Madam Chair.
motion to accept this bid from?
So moved.
Second,
Any more questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is already in your budget.
It is, yes. In my 25 budget, yes. Carl said I can wait till January to pay the bill. And, the Nelson one is a 25, so we'll have to order it. It'll be a while anyway, so. Yes,
hey, any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
also something I didn't add to my agenda, we had a jailer, leave. She was living in Grand Forks and found the travel to be too much, so. I'd asked for a rehire for a jailer position.
I'll make the motion to allow you to retire the jailer position.
Second.
Any more questions?
Are you at full staff now?
We were on full staff in the jail, and we are -1 at Park River position yet for a deputy's position, so,
In one jailer.
yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I think from a perspective of someone who used to drive to Grand Forks for work, and it gets to be wearing, and it just screams to me how much we do need to be mindful of growing our communities and attracting people to live
I agree.
closer to where they work, because even for my own business, I rarely hire someone if they live an hour away, because you just know what's gonna come, so.
At this person's interview, that was addressed, and they said it wouldn't be a problem. And it is a problem, and we haven't even gotten to the winter months, so travel's difficult,
it is.
Gets old after a
it
while.
really does.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you how we have to support, building stuff here.
And having some place for workers to live, yeah, that's a huge thing. Thank you, that's all I got, unless you guys have any questions.
I think we need to take the vote,
Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry.
that's okay, okay, all those in favor of hiring or having Ron hire a new jailer? Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Well, we're a little early, so I will have Christie give an auditor office update.
Sure, I just wanted to let everyone know that we are down a deputy 2 in the auditor's office. October 31st was Whitney's last day, so we're down. But I'm gonna hold off on hiring at this point. I wanna kind of see, once the election is over, how everything's sitting with combined offices and stuff like that. So, if I find a need, I will come back, but I just wanted to let you guys all know that report.
And I just, Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'd just like to add to that, Tanya and I have been visiting with Christie about that, and we're going to all sit down and discuss what our next step is as far as the combined office. So we are looking into it.
okay, then maybe we can have an election update, that has some numbers.
Yeah, perfect. So, as of this morning, we have, accepted 2,912 ballots through absentee. Polls opened at 9 o'clock. There was a line, so, I am hoping that we have a really good turnout in Walsh County. Polls are open until 7 PM today, so. We've got a good crew that are ready, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Any questions?
So what time will they get out of here? Until,
Yeah, so depending on the line, so, people have up to 30 minutes after the polls close to vote. So the latest, ballot can be cast at 7:30 tonight. And then the election workers, a lot of them will leave shortly after that, but the judges, they have to stay until we have submitted everything, the results to the Secretary of State. So God willing, we're done by 9.
are they paid?
Yeah, they're all paid, so it makes a very long day for these
Yeah.
guys, they get here at 8 in the morning, they can't leave, so. I mean, the judges probably will be here till 9 tonight, for sure, so, yeah, makes for a long day, so,
I'd just like to thank them on behalf of the commission for everything that they do.
absolutely, absolutely, they really seem to enjoy it and they do a really good job.
Yeah.
We were able to get through 2,600 ballots yesterday, typically they have to finish them on election day, so they're very efficient, they work and laugh and have a good time, and yeah, it's
Good.
good, yeah.
Don't you normally have any poll watchers come in?
We, so this is my first, November election, but in the primary there was not. So we do have a spot though for them, for any observers to sit, and they can sit all day long, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a spot for them. Or two, so. Yeah, it's been a long haul, you know, we probably started training with the Secretary of State back in January. Last, you know, so it's, yeah, weekly calls and,
That sigh of relief will come tonight.
well, the
Yeah.
18th, yeah, November 18th.
Well, yeah.
So, yes, once the results are submitted, then I can handle the rest, it's just that piece of it, I get a little nervous, you know, but, the Secretary of State, Kelsey and I got a personal text this morning at 6:30 wishing us luck from them, so, you know, they're really rooting for us, and so it's a good group, I'm excited. We worked hard, we're ready, yeah. So.
We sat in at that election integrity at Bismarck and it sounded like that crew was pretty good.
Oh, they're fantastic,
Yeah.
yeah, fantastic.
Okay, well, I don't know that we can go on for any more. I think we'll take a 10-minute just recess. No, never mind, Jason's coming.
One hot seat to the other.
One to the other,
Couple of things that came in, but I didn't get into the business package. One is just a permit application.
When he talks about the County 9 bridge for that replacement, if you guys wanna see a couple of pictures, I went down there and took some of the, putting those pieces together. Unreal. I not the video ones. I left one on too long and I was taking my feet and everything else, but there's 24, oh, you're still- there's 24 sections in them too. And they're 36,000 pounds of piece, that's over 420 ton in that bridge replacement.
so they're lifting them with the cranes?
No,
They-
excavator.
Excavators, they had the small one and they tried it and it started the water, the soil was soft, so it started tipping, so they put the cap in the back and held it down. But that didn't work, so they dug some more dirt out, put that last side in. And I got that on picture. I don't know why they didn't go down with the big one. I think there was too much weight for the dirt that was supporting it. But it's something else. You could drive a truck through each one, no problem.
We have something for me to sign.
There's two of them.
It'll be that one.
Oh, it is?
14 by 14.
Okay,
There's that much flow going down there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And that flows from the Cashel and.
Oh, yeah.
The red will back into the park, which
Yeah.
goes Cashel, which goes north. It's like, we go with that area.
okay, we have,
No, it's,
We have-
blade constructions or construction.
we have Jason with the highway department.
Morning. Had a couple of things I brought in that didn't make the agenda packet, so just go over those first. I handed up a drainage application from Cameron Manichek. We drove up, met with him last Friday morning on site. He's looking at doing is cleaning out cattails and some trees that have grown up into the right of way. There's definitely some sedimentation issues that are there. You're not sure if the culverts are plugged or not. We didn't really get into them at this point, so he's just looking to replace the culverts with existing culverts if they are plugged. And if they're damaged to the point where they're not flowing, and do a general clean out. It's all this water will end up into Nelson County and flow south from there into the drain that's right there, so we're only across under the 18 again, creating using our culverts. I don't see any issues with this project going forward.
Just send Nelson County some.
I was just gonna say. I have a motion to accept this.
So moved.
The Cameron actually is sending it on himself.
Oh, we'll get it back. I'll second it.
Okay, any more questions? Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Christie.
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried.
The next one I got is a request from Trans Systems for WAS. They wanna do is they wanna increase their semi counts and their weights. So they can haul out that boss pallet faster at the request from American Crystal. I had reservations on it from talking to Wade and KLJ. They are definitely justified and warranted. If we allow them to increase to what they're looking at doing, we're gonna reduce the life of that asphalt and that road by a half. So and it's my opinion, that we don't allow anything along that lines for them. Even to the point of having a permit application for that type of traffic, the regular permits that we have, but I don't think going to what they're doing and hauling out for us in the long run would be a good thing. So I guess I'm kind of looking for a motion, I guess, or something from your side, just so you guys know what's
I
going
don't know why
on.
we would need a motion to not let them. I just say, don't let them.
I-
That's not,
Madam Chairman, I would put it in the minutes, so it's there in case.
Well,
come back.
Madam Chair.
they don't do it unless we get our, but whatever, yeah.
So when that road does go, it falls on the county to replace. So is there, I mean, at some point, when you look at Minto to the Boss Piler, I would assume there is more, even with where we currently are.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I'm thinking from a perspective, can they help pay for that road if it comes down to, we're gonna have to do more on that road over time anyways, because they are on that road how many months out of the year? So instead of completely saying no to it, maybe it's something to think on as far as, is there a partnership that, or some form that to be able for them to help pay for maintenance of that part of that road, you know, not all, but.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
there's also a big safety issue involved with that kind of weight. I mean. One of 250,000 pounds?
and the narrow road.
There's no shoulders there. You know, if you were, Madam Chairman,
Yes.
if you remember when the Boss Piler went in, I was part of that and everything else, and then they changed it, American Crystal changed it, and when we did that road, there was an agreement that they were supposed to have it all hauled out before the spring of the year. And they've been following that pretty good, but you know, maybe in the winter it ain't 250 will bother us, 150 might not, but if they do it in March and we get a thaw, that'll wreck that road.
in anything prior to, I mean, basically you're looking at a 1 month window when we know we got a good freeze. And to sit there and try and wait for that time frame and justify it and make sure you're frozen enough to do it. I don't think it's a good plan on our aspect. In the future, knowing that the state is looking at putting in basically an allowance for these heavier loads. We've already put it into things where we're starting to look at doing that stuff, but that road's not up for anything for a while.
I concur, I think the safety factor, we're gonna have that long of a truck and, those are narrow, that's a narrow road. Get a little bit of snow and ice on there,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a disaster, and I would say no.
Ernie,
And I agree with Amy, if they wanna come and talk to us about the tearing and improving the road, I'd be all for it. But not maybe 250, but right now I'd say no, let's not do it, and if they wanna go further with it, come talk to us. I mean, I'm not against advancement or anything else, but we can't. Then somebody else is gonna wanna, when they're out that way, and we just open a can of worms, our roads aren't built for this. Like you said, safety gone.
Amy,
You said that the state is looking in the future. At plans for,
The maps that I handed out to you are all the states really right now, and those are ones that they have, or they're looking at allowing heavy roads for them, and they're increasing them by the time. Which is great for them, if their roads can handle it.
Yeah.
But our bases aren't set for them, and I'm not even 100% sure that all the spots on theirs are either. But that's what their engineers have set, and they can do. If we're talking what we have with our bases, we can't handle that type of loading.
Now, Terry,
Yes.
you look at the state now, and I travel interstate quite a bit, like to Pembina that way. They're not re-putting cement down, they're putting tar, and you just look at all the semis that are on the road, you get heaves and bumps,
yeah,
they're not even made for it. So that's a safety factor right there, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
The other thing that concerns me is for part of the safety factor is how many accidents have we had at junction of in Midville in the last few years with semis when it gets to be a little bit slick where they're not able to stop or they're sliding through that
Quite a
stuff.
few. Yeah,
Just
Because it slides down.
Yeah,
right.
so. You get that much more weight, if their driver isn't paying attention and he's going for them, slow it down, and then you could end up with something a lot more than that. In that intersection.
I'll make a motion that we do not adjust our roads for their purpose right now.
I'll second that.
any more questions? Hearing none, Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
yes,
Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Thank you. I'll get in touch with Trend Systems and make them passwords anyway. The next item I have is the first item of your guys' packet, the prairie dog fund buckets, it looks like. But if everything keeps going the way it is, the KLJs and their interpretations that maybe the end of the first quarter, March, April, the prairie dog buckets will fill out and be able to pass on funding to the county and the townships again like it did 2 years ago. So that would be a great thing for us. Basically, double our budget for that prairie dog fund, so we can actually take care of some asphalt road projects and repairs along those lines or bridges with as much stuff as we have going there, so.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
It was my understanding at, the meeting that we were at in Bismarck at the county meetings. They had a property for tax meeting and they did say, depending on how that measure goes, if it passes or not, that could affect our prairie dog funds. So it's a little bit up in the air. It's not a guarantee anymore until we know how this property for tax measure goes.
I'll try like heck not to take anything out of this prairie dog funding. If that passes.
So being they're gonna be full by March, I don't know when this, if it passes the Measure 4 deal. Can they pull that out of those buckets and keep it? I suppose, you know, it's already there and,
If that can even be done,
yeah,
that's what I mean.
there's a lot of ifs, isn't there, on this?
There's gonna be a rural caucus started, so we're gonna try and make sure counties are getting what they.
Do they have any date when they have to implement Measure 4?
I have no idea, that's not,
I thought somebody said April up there when we were in Bismarck, but you know,
I don't
there's nothing on paper. How are they gonna do all that work and get it planned in that short of a time? Wow. Wow.
So
I do have,
we'll wait till tonight and see.
yeah, I do have a question
Yes.
back on that other one. What is our Ross Road rated on now? 100 and some?
5.5.
How much? 5.5, so they're asking 40 some more, and if they go to 50, they're doubling it. I thought it was 100 and some. Crazy.
Same way.
In our spring restrictions, we drop it down.
Yeah.
Just because of the moisture.
Well, remember Luke, you weren't here, but Luke come in so he could have a little higher there at 10% and get a permit so they could take the grain from there to Minto.
Yeah, next thing is just a quick update from the Sioux Falls Convention I was at. First thing I wanna let you know is it doesn't matter if you're in Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Montana, Nebraska. If you put up a road sign, people still don't read them, or they take them down and go around them. So everywhere's having the issues, for getting help, getting quality help, maintaining their quality help. With the measure another measure that's out there today with marijuana, there's one county that was talking to us. They had a gentleman that started taking CBD oil for arthritis and was doing great things for him. And then his time came to take his CDL, drug test, and it came up with THC, and he had to fight like heck to keep his job. After investigations and different things, that gentleman is having to pay for. Even though they determined it was only from the THC that he was getting from the CBD oil for his arthritis in his hand and everything he's using, he still has to go through a drug policy for abuse so that he can keep his job, and he has to pay for that part of his hand. So this could open a whole new set of problems for everybody too. So I'm kind of letting people know that if you are using those things, be very, very careful. Because it can trigger for something that you're not expecting. So that makes it even more fun.
I guess I just think to it, you know, on those situations. My personal feeling, especially when you're dealing with employees, it should be on a case by case basis, you know, someone's dealing with something and they're gonna be starting to use something. Especially if it's not from a doctor or an order, but be open about that. I mean, because if it was a topical or if they were using and you just aren't sure that it could, if there's transparency in the beginning from that drug test to say, I don't know if this, but this is really helping, that's a different story than drug test was done, that's showing this, now they're labeled with everyone else, that's.
And with us, on our policy, in our department policy, it states that if you are taking one of these medications that could trigger a thing, and when you start something new, if it could trigger, you're supposed to let us know as soon as you start it. So we do have that portion in our policy. It gets a lot trickier when you're working in union halls like some of those counties are.
Excuse me, when you're working with what?
Union halls.
Oh,
So I have a question. When somebody takes a drug test, does it show fentanyl? Oxycontin? Tramadol, any of those, does that show up?
I think it all shows up.
Okay,
I'd have to talk with Tanya to figure out exactly which ones are being tested. I don't know.
because those are, you know, doctor prescribed,
Yes,
and it affects any drugs.
we test. for
Well, I,
those, yeah.
yeah, I mean, well, then, yeah, I'm not saying that isn't, but the other ones are all doctor prescribed, but fentanyl patch could be. I'm just curious as to what the limits are on that.
They're all checked. If I can get all of them checked, Tanya can let you know through the next.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I just think that we don't want someone operating heavy equipment if they
No,
are
no.
on those, right? So
But
I mean, they should be
on
checked,
anything,
On
whether it's
any of it.
THC, any of the ones that I mentioned.
right, because you're worried about the safety of not just that employee, but of others as well, so.
Mhm.
If they're taking something like that, they should not be working at that time, if it's, say they're recuperating or whatever.
Right.
I mean, you're on Oxy, you're not even supposed to drive a vehicle, right, I mean, so.
Yep.
There's a reason for it.
Right. Those are those things, a lot of people are moving towards GIS systems, which we've talked about adding here coming up. For doing their tracking and their work orders and different things, so that made me happy to feel like we're on board with some of these bigger counties that are just starting to look for something like that and actually ahead of a few. So that made me feel even better. So we'll just let you guys know on that one as well.
Have they implemented? Yeah.
Some are, some haven't. Some are working with a modification with a different technical program that is house built with their own IT staff that they have. That won't be able to do what we're talking about doing with our program. So they would have to do a lot of adjustments to do what we're looking for. With that, I guess one of the highlights for me was our staff, with Jerry Hodney, we had Arndt and Dean Thompson. Once again, they submitted a project for the Build a Better Mousetrap for innovations with a rack that they mounted on top of our air compressor when we first started blowing up the cracks and doing our crack sealing, so that we could maintain the life of our hose and not drag it for around and do different things. We won the state for it. We lost the regional to South Dakota again, but we'll still be headed to nationals with it. We do have one thing on that everybody in it once again though, is our innovation cost less money, once again, than anybody else that had done anything. Our innovation was a lot under $54 compared to the winners that were about 25,000. So it's really good to know that our guys are coming up with these things. This will be the third time that we'll have a project that'll head to the nationals since I've started, so let the guys know and told keep it up. Come up with something else and we'll keep them going, so.
We had a meeting yesterday morning and I thanked him for the commission too. I said, you know, it's, innovation is nice to see.
So those are those portions. When I got back, I did get to have a new meeting with DOT for a mandatory new training, which is the Metric 18 scour inspections. So the federal government is pushing new regulations down onto us as the state, which is getting pushed onto the county. Every time that there is a national flood water, we're gonna have 18 bridges that we have to inspect on a daily basis. We have to submit their inspection reports through a cell phone application, different things. I'm gonna have to create a detour report for each bridge and some paperwork for each one that comes in before the implementations. They haven't told us how long we're gonna have to do this yet. We have 18 bridges, which they classify as a class A scour, which means that we have to inspect those on a daily basis. After the flood event is over, within 30 days, the state has to bring their inspectors in to inspect that bridge. It will be underneath the cost share program that we have. However, it's not in our budget for doing those. So if we had 3 floodings on those 18 bridges, then we have to do 3 inspections because they can't work it out between them to kind of work it so we can tie the 2 together or 3 together. We're looking at $54,000 approximately in bridge inspections that are gonna have to come in. That's just for those. There's also a class B category, where we have 6 in that, and those have to be inspected on a weekly basis. The same type of protocols and different things, but those have to be inspected within 60 days. We're gonna try to work those in if we're having inspections for other timeframes. Both Nick West and I questioned these because we have so many bridges that are in the systems and our bridge inspections start in the spring. So we asked, are you gonna be pushing the bridge inspections back? Because if we get a second rise from a spring melt and a go to a flood or where it goes out and comes back in, we're put right back into the situation we need to do, or the water levels might not even be down enough for them to come and do that inspection in 30 days. So what's the point of paying for that if they can't get here to do it? They heard our frustrations. The consultant that they had from DOT was trying to minimize it, and the DOT staff said, no, you don't understand. There's a lot of counties that have there's a few counties in this today that have a lot of bridges that are gonna fall underneath this. We're not the highest. The highest honor goes to Grand Forks County. They're gonna have 54 bridges in the program. From the bridges that we have in the class C, which is scour, from what I'm counting, because there's no real way to search it out through our program yet. Looks like we have over 70 in the class C.
How many?
70. So, but those at any point in time through inspections can get moved up to the other categories. So that's just something that's gonna be coming down towards us.
Is this through FEMA?
No,
It's
this is
through
the
federal,
federal
okay.
transportation,
Okay,
yeah. So,
yes,
So I asked him, I said, so how many of our bridges, and you guys don't know, are underwater for how long? How do you get there? Are they gonna risk their lives and somebody to go inspect it when it's underwater? I said, did they even talked about this, or, I mean, you look at our valley here, there's sometimes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month. You can't get to any, and even if the bridge isn't underwater, you can't get there because of the roads. Yeah, so. Any answers? Did you call or?
they're, when it gets to be where they're underwater, we don't have to go to it, we just have to still do an inspection and take a picture of it saying we were there.
Well, you can get a drone to get there or what?
I'm gonna take a picture from a mile away if I have to, I guess. With the real close sign, and I think a lot of it is, honestly, a lot of it, the way they're talking is to make sure that we are doing our real close signs, which we're doing that anyways. But I asked them, I said, okay, so what's the difference if we put them up and then people are taking them down, moving them over and driving around them anyways? I said, so we're doing ours, we're doing the inspections, but this is basically. It's basically a way to cover ourselves, to make sure that we're doing what we're already doing anyways. We're not going on a daily basis to go inspect these bridges. But we have been driving by them every couple of days just to make sure the signage and the different things are there and the conditions of different stuff. That's how we monitor different things and see if there's emergency repairs we may have to do, or, S jams and things like that. So now we're just gonna have one more step for it. But when you guys are hauling gravel or sand for different things for projects, I'm gonna end up being out of the office more. To go in and do these inspections because I need them in the trucks and doing the work that they're doing. I can't have them driving around doing this inspection. So.
Madam Chair,
yes,
I mean, the only light I see on this is more documentation and data. If you've got how many days of a bridge underwater and we have issues with it in the future. You've got a lot of documentation to show that maybe that's why this bridge is going down from how many years of that is documented. So I mean, I don't think we have a lot of a choice. That's the only light that I can see from it.
Yeah, that's the only good thing that'll happen is we'll have more information to back us when we go to get bridges for trying to get support for replacements. But other than that, that's the only part of Sunrise is. So I wanna let you all know about that, that's coming, so we're, nobody has a choice, the state DOT has a choice, we don't have a choice, so it's all coming from the federal, push, so. With that, I guess the last thing I have on here, is the GIS work order tracking program. Submit your packets in the packet for it. I would like to move forward with the OneGov cartograph program, just to start getting the paperwork in, and get things taken care of on that aspect. We started now and sign the paperwork now, and we start in January, so it'll be underneath the approved funding for the next year's budget. Then we can possibly have it up, cause they'll have a lot of work that they have to do on their end. We may be able to have it up by September, October on their policy. We had spoken with a company called Brightly as well, and talked to them about their program. Programs are really similar. The initial cost is, a little cheaper on the, Brightly, but you pay for it in the end with your, yearlies. So, I would like to move forward with your permission on moving forward with the OneGov, cartograph program.
Madam Chair,
yes.
can you just give us a little background on what this is going to do again?
And then the specific numbers here, I mean,
And you mentioned OneGov, do you mean OpenGov? I'm
Yeah,
saying-
sorry,
okay,
OpenGov.
Okay.
Yep, OpenGov, yeah. So what this program is going to do is it's going to track all of our work orders that we do for every project. And we can use it for our buildings infrastructure, we can use it for the campground, the Hummy. We can track everything to help us fine tune where we're at. It'll also track all of our projects for FEMA through it. So when we have something that's coming up for FEMA, every invoicing, everything that we do will be a simplified report and when it's all done, that we can run everything underneath it and have where we're getting the funding from, where it goes, and basically can replace our secondary system that we use right now for our access program that covers our budgets and things. I can assign work orders to the bridge crews and asphalt crews, so they have everything there, where it's all sitting there, where it has an open display of every project that we have ongoing.
So it will include your highway
It will,
department.
yes, it's mainly for the highway department. It'll track our bridges, we'll be able to put our bridge plans on there, so if, Ryan needs to look at something with a tablet to see what the bridge plan is, on a site, he'll be actually open up on the field what that bridge plan is. And take a look at what's going on with it, what type of steel, what different things are there. And then we'll never have to worry about waiting for me for another project, because everything that we talked about this fall will be on a work order list, and just a standing list of things that happen. Then periodically we'll go through that and move things up more like a triage, where this one needs to be done first, move these others. It'll also give us a better perspective of a calendar schedule for what we have going on, what we're gonna be doing. And tracking those type of things for us too. It'll track all of our bridge culvert, our bridge planks, our bridge caps. All of our inventory on that lines, our culverts, so that once we get to a certain level in that inventory, it'll trigger a work order for me. That'll tell me we need to order more of these. So we can get them coming. It's really important for all of our bridge timbers and our caps. We're a minimum of 60 to 90 days before we can get any of those materials. So we really need to know how much we're gonna be taking for our projects, or when we have a project set up, we can say we're gonna use this many for it. That program will actually pull those out of our inventory and set them aside for the project that we're doing. So that we know if we're gonna have to order something, so we're not in a delay for keeping progress going.
And how do you track all that now?
But don't really, we have.
It's a manual
It's a
system.
manual system now, this will make it all an electronic system. So it'll. We track it, but it's all manual, so Tammy has it all, she works through it through an Access database. Access databases are great. But with the time frames we're going, we'll actually be able to pull these up in the field with the GIS. Portions of it too, to show the actual locations of the work and the different things that are going. Once we get going and we have everything. In the future, we'll be able to know where every culvert is, the size of that culvert, and what that culvert is made out of. Is it a plastic, is it a steel, is it steel coated, is it a concrete? And the sizes, so we'll be able to know the dimension of that culvert, so when we're looking at culverts we need to do for replacements or different things, we'll be able to tie that together.
So all our bridges will be tracked in
All
here,
our
every
bridges.
bridge will be tracked in
Everyone.
here.
Our minors and our majors. Every bridge, everything will be able to track per mile where we're putting gravel, we'll be able to show all that stuff.
Last question, do you know any other county that is using this currently?
Morton County is using this program,
And what did they think of it?
they like it.
Yes.
So, I guess I never asked you this when we were talking about it. Are our bridge inspections on there so you can look back and compare them from year to year?
They will be.
They will be, so we can look at it as, why was this done and now this year it's different? Cause I think that's a valuable tool right now too, the way our inspections are going. We can look back and say, well, how come you didn't do this year and now it's here this year? No flooding, no events or whatever.
And with those inspections right now, the DOT has that on their inspectex, where we can go back and look at the past couple of inspections to do that stuff. But we don't have anything like that for our under 20s. Where we're going out and we're doing these different things for where we're, tracking our bridges of where we were at, what we've done to them, when they were done. Just in a simple inspection for them, where we can take a picture of them or our culverts, so we can monitor and have that. So anytime we can take a picture of a site, we'll actually be able to see the condition and go back and be able to see, oh yeah, there's where the change is. So it'll be able to take care of all of that. We can also track all our equipment in it so we can set up schedules to try and get on better rotations for equipment replacements. It'll basically be the backbone of all of our tracking system for the department.
So you can look back on it and see whether you bladed it, how many years or months ago or put gravel on it, how many years ago and.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it already, but it'll all be in one place now.
I'll be in one place. It won't be going to find the file to pull that information and go to it. It'll all be in one location.
So is this gonna be on you and Tammy, or who's
Yes.
gonna do all the?
The initial inputs and the installation for setting up the program is part of the bid price that Obinga gave us. where it looks like a lot, but it's $84,000, but they're gonna be taking our access program and then loading it into the system. They'll be taking the GIS components that we already have now and loading that into the system with the experts that know and have developed these multiple times well across the board. So instead of us trying to figure out how to do it, they'll be doing that heavy legwork for us on that aspect. They'll be there for training for us afterwards. They'll be right there with us, so we phone call notice. So.
Madam Chair, I'm just looking at these, Jason, and I see OpenGov looks like 3 years. Brightly looks like 5.
Yeah. That's the way that Brightly does their quotes is on a 5-year basis for their pieces. When you look at Brightly's, their prices for their page start at an investment year 2 at 29,000 and increase by year 5 they're to 32,000. But if you just look at the 27, they're at $32,000, where one OpenGov is 24,000. So it's a $7,000 difference between the two.
But initial OpenGov, the first year on here, January 2025 is 106,000.
That's with the asset system, so yeah. Cause you'll get the annual software fee plus the professional fee, so you're paying your annual fee for what they're doing, plus the 84,000 installation, that's where you're getting your 106.
And Brightly wouldn't have that installation, or
Their installation is there, their installation is 78,000 for their installation,
plus the 20.
plus the 20.
Okay, so I feel like we're getting lost in what this is. So can you just go what it's gonna cost us and when and,
So the next year, we're in the budget, it'll be $106,000 using OpenGov to do it. It's put into the budget pro request that we had for doing this system. And we're gonna start until in January, when that budget comes through, that's when we start paying for it.
okay, hold on. So that is in the budget then, 106 is in the budget for this,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Continue, sorry, I just wanna get this,
Yeah. This is, I brought in Ryan, the shop leads and Tammy in on it. Tammy has some reservations on the system, because it's a new program. I let her know that we'll be training through, this is a program I am familiar with. I never used this program, but I used a program similar to that when I was at Parks and Recreation for tracking all our buildings, all of our repairs, our budgets and our projects through that. So in the long run, I think it'll be a lot easier. So that when Tammy and I aren't here and the next people come in, they have one location we can go to, get the information they need running the department. They have all the history, all the people right there for them. They'll track equipment costs, they'll track those things so they can work on that stuff and up with a better budget. It also should speed up the time frame for at the end of the year for doing annual reports. Instead of Tammy having to sit and go through all these different things, we should be able to create one report at the end of the year just by telling the computer system, print this with all the information that she's already doing. So it should speed that process up significantly.
okay, so that's the initial cost, then where do we go from there?
$23,000 for 26 for.
So then what's the 21,976?
That's the first year, that's part of the 106.
That is part of that,
It's like 84,000 plus 20.
Yeah.
okay? And then the next,
Then the following 27 is for $24,228. Thing with this too is
okay, hold on, so that's a yearly thing that we have,
Annual fee.
an annual fee,
Annual fee.
and that will continue. That annual fee approximately $24,000.
It'll always be an annual fee. The thing with this too is being we can use it for buildings and grounds, the highway department and Omni. Those costs can be worked out and spread out between the 3 different departments. Because all 3 will be able to use the system.
So what good would us do at County? I mean, what's the big thing there?
it's gonna give us a better traction on where we're at for maintenance of our buildings, what needs to be done for different things, the tracking and the histories and all those. It'll give us a lot more detail of what has been done, what hasn't been done. Cause we're right now, if you ask me what was the last time that carpet or anything was replaced, I couldn't tell you.
At Hommy?
Or here, anywhere.
Well, I'm
in the
just
building.
specifically saying Hommy. I'm just picking on Hommy.
Hmm.
So,
And Omni, you'll be able to track your water usages, the equipment purchases, the asphalt projects, the gravel, the water, and the mowing, all the costs that go to it.
I understand that, that's a big
The
number.
last time the building was painted,
We won't vote on this till we know the outcome of the measure forward.
That's fine. I did have one, I'll wait till we're done with talking about this, but. So,
I assume that's what you want as a motion to accept one or the other.
Yeah, I'm sure, I agree, we need to be sure that we're gonna have those mills to be able to fund. What we really need with roads and infrastructure before we move forward. I like the proactive approach, I mean, I think it's a good system to consider, but. We gotta let today speak first,
Yeah.
so do we wanna table this till the 19th?
yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll table this to the 19th. I did have one question that I completely forgot about, was in the bills that we had. Why was at the county park for Walsh Water, the bill almost $1,200? So it was
Water leak.
91, what?
water leak.
When did that happen?
It's been ongoing, we've been trying to get contractors here to fix it for a while. Nobody from Grand Forks would even come and take a look at it, and local would go underneath the trailer to do that portion, and I had Kilmer out there to look at it. He helped me find the person I went to find him, repair it, yesterday. We finally finished the repairs for it. So,
So this was a water leak underneath
underneath the
Susan's
trailer,
trailer?
yeah. We've been looking for this water leak for a while, and it finally showed up. We could actually find it, we got for a water come out there to help us locate it and narrow down where it is too with their stuff. It's been a real pain for us.
We've had more water leaks out there than.
I'm hoping that what we can do to address some of these with those older lines, we're not exactly sure where they are, is North Dakota Parks and Recreation has grant programs that they put out for things that do this type of repairs. I'm hoping I can put the one together and get it into their next systems, so we can replace and some of these lines that are out there, that are older lines. One of the leaks we had this year was when we did some trenching, where it went through a leak, or went through a line, so we had to fix that one, and then we had to do another repair on it. The leak didn't quite hold, so we've had issues like that out there this year. I'd like to replace those lines with lines that don't have to worry about as much through the grant process, where we'll have the cost share to do with it. But updated the lines and take some of these pieces out that we really don't need, where we have hydrants for spots. Limit the spots we can have some things, get more control with a metering system of where that line break is. Because of how high we are to Maumee and the sand, and we have the same problem when I was at Icelandic State Park, where you have the water break and it doesn't come off to the ground, it just goes down.
We had asked you a few meetings ago in regards to Hami to look into states. Could you come to the 19th meeting with? We had talked about what the options would be for us, if Hami was something we were wanting to look at. Being in total control, or if there were options, could you bring that to the 19th meeting?
Yep.
So we
So I
can.
get some answers from the court, yep.
Yeah, you got to talk to the core, Christie.
Yeah, I'd like to know as well as if we could offer, I know we've been told that we can't offer long-term camping, but I did some checking with past commissioners and they said they didn't feel that was mandated, they thought that was a commissioner decision because they wanted to make sure that the taxpayers had.
No, we checked into that. The core doesn't allow that. I mean, we have checked.
Unless they change.
We
it.
begged
Okay,
for them
okay.
to.
Well,
So-
that's what
Unless
I
they
was told
change
by
it,
a
and
past
they didn't tell us,
commissioner.
but I know we
I
checked
don't know
into
who
it.
would
or-
know that.
Yeah, when I was on state parks before, wasn't allowing
No.
long terms in their locations.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'll double check that with them while I'm on.
Right, because I can't justify spending the kind of taxpayer money we're spending on that place for poor campers and that.
What was it,
an average.
120,000?
With over 100,000 that we're
$100,000.
spending for campers on average throughout the season, that's just not smart.
The income we bring in is about $20,000 a year and our expenses are around 100.
Yeah, we can't keep that up.
Ask them if there's anything in agreement if we can get a, I don't know how many years it was signed, are we obligated to do it or? Yeah,
I'm not sure. Is Orfield Dam private or what's the setup there?
No. Go ahead.
The water board is actually, it owns, covers the land, but it's on a different agreement
That's
process.
between-
It's
that's
not the
between-
Corps of Engineers.
Yep.
Grand Forks of Wash County too. Grand Forks more like runs it.
Runs it.
Okay.
But they are able to offer long-term camping for the
Yep.
whole seasonal camping.
Right, because
You
they're
can
not
leave it there.
dictated by the Corps.
Right, and you drive through there and that place is immaculate and is
Yeah.
filled
Yeah,
to capacity.
yeah.
And it is just a couple that is staying there in a camper that takes care of it and they hire in some summer help to help with the mowing and that place, you don't see a weed, I mean, it's just immaculate.
So is Larimore Dam operated by the Corps?
No.
I'm gonna say, cause there's long-term campers there.
Yeah.
So what's the difference when the dams are built, if the Corps had the fingers in Hami versus Larimore Dam?
I'm not sure.
Interesting. Never knew that.
The NRCS has expanded, but then you get to Lake Scott.
Gate.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how.
They pick and choose.
What went to where.
Okay. Have anything else for us? If not, thank you, Jason.
There is one more thing I forgot to put on there, and it's another big ticket price thing, it's for the fuel pumps that were on the agenda, on the budget. I've been told that those are gonna take up to 6 months to gather components for, would it be possible for me to get those on order so we can replace the fuel pumps in the metering system?
And you said that is on in your budget?
I think we figured out in by the long run by getting
Yeah.
semi loans, it'd be cheaper, so I think I'll make a motion, you go forward with that.
I'll second.
Any more questions? Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Christie,
Yes,
Ernie,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Thank you.
Motion
Expenses are
carried.
coming, but income is.
thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Blades are out?
Blades are out.
Okay,
They were on 12B yesterday.
we're gonna take a couple minute break, and then we have the sales tax appraisal hearing, if there's any anybody show up to talk about that. 10:05, we have human service, so we'll just take a few minute break. call the meeting back to order, and right now, at this time, 10 a.m. we have the tax sale appraisal hearing, and, unless we'll just give it a few minutes, if nobody's here to contest anything, then we will, proceed with the tax sale on November 19th. So. Do you have anything, any updates for us on that?
No, nothing.
No, no. Yeah, how many parcels do we have?
23, but I can run it again and see if anyone paid yesterday too.
They got that little day before,
The morning.
morning of.
Morning. Yes.
It will be by the time we get there, hopefully,
They always.
by the time we get to the 19th.
We did get a lot of payoffs as of October 31st, so maybe. The last couple days there have been.
Okay, we'll just give it another minute or two. Okay, so since no one is here to contest the appraisal hearing, we will proceed on the 19th with the parcels that we will have left. Okay, we will move on to unfinished business, which is the Human Service, Northern Valley Human Service Zone. And I will call on Jill to just kind of explain to us and who's on Zoom about what we are up against and the decision that we should probably make today.
Cavalier County is the host county for the zone. And so throughout, since we started in 2020, they have collected, I didn't bring all my numbers with, but they have collected an administrative fee for taking on, all of the employees. We did a zone plan when we began, and we put in there that they would collect that administrative fee until the countywide cost allocation was in place, where then now Cavalier County gets credit or is able to count all of the employees. So Walsh County doesn't, the employees who are housed here, they're not counted on their countywide cost allocation. Cavalier County felt that their amount wasn't enough, that they were getting to cover the costs for what they feel that they are using or that they are using. And so they have requested that each Pembina County and Walsh County each pay $10,000 a year to offset those costs that they are utilizing. Pembina County did approve that. We have in our budgets the indirect funds. And so there is plenty of indirect in Pembina County to be able to pay that $10,000 out of there. Walsh County has less in theirs, but there would be enough to pay for this year, 2024 as well as 2025. And so if this was approved, I would suggest that we pay both of those out of the same right away, and just to get it done with, so that we have the money in there, to utilize that, so it doesn't have to come out of county general, okay? I've been pretty vocal, I guess, about my concerns with that, because I feel that Cavalier County has made money off of the zone, which I don't believe should happen. That's just my opinion, of course. They had, so they had collected about $58,000, so almost $60,000 for the 4 years that we have been in existence, as well as the indirect costs or the indirect fund in Cavalier County kept building up. You know, we just weren't spending a lot of those dollars, and $100,000, and certainly it was county dollars, but it was transferred out of that fund into another fund. I believe it was used for a building for their county crew, to help with that. Again, it was their money, but that money came from the state, and that's my concern, is that money that's come from the state, that it's being used that way. To me, there's maybe better ways to use it, and it's not up to me, obviously, to make those decisions, but that's my concern with it. On the other side, I need to advocate for my staff. And at this point, Cavalier County has said if they don't get that amount, they will not be the host county. And that adds a whole nother layer then, because then at this point, my staff has full health insurance. That's paid, full retirement, and it's not fair to them to have to switch that midstream either, because we have an issue, a philosophy issue maybe is what it is, but so I also need to advocate for my staff, because I don't want them to have to start getting insurance when we haven't before, So I guess in a nutshell, that's where I'm at. I don't know if you talked to Stanley, if there was any discussion with Stanley. I haven't had any further discussion about it since the last time I was here.
I think that's the main thing that he was advocating for. And before we decide anything or make a motion, I would like the state's attorney Kelly Cole to come up and give her opinion on. Cause we also supply the state's attorney for the zone, and there's no reimbursement there, so if Kelly wants to come up and.
So I know I was kind of asked to put together kind of an estimate of how many hours. That's really hard for me to do because I don't really keep track. I can kind of tell you, the sort of questions I'm asked. Initially up front, I spent a great deal of time attending meetings, reviewing the zone plan, for the zone board. Since then, I've just been attending meetings when I've been requested to attend meetings, because a lot of times they conflict with the court schedules and those sorts of things. I get asked fairly regularly about liability questions. They tend to take some research. I review documents, so responses, what comes to mind are civil rights violation allegations where the zone's required to respond to that. If there's a complaint made about a particular social worker to the board, I've responded to that to assist the zone with those sorts of response. There's been some threats of lawsuit, so I've provided advice and reviewed documents related to that. I've also spoke with NDERF on a number of occasions about, because you typically, when there's a lawsuit threatened, I typically reach out to NDERF just to let them know, and then they put it on their books and they communicate back with me to see if there's been any additional action or those sorts of things. I've reviewed certain policies that the zone adopted, and provided feedback with regard to those. There's open records requests that as I typically get that from all the department heads whenever there's open records requests a lot of times and they have questions about them, they talk to me about it, same thing with the zone. So, I know that when we were at that meeting and, I know Amy was there and Christie, were you? Okay. There was some discussion about just having somebody on retainer, so to speak, and the value that it has. So I am available to the zone when they need me and, try to answer questions in a fairly,
Absolutely.
quick response time, so. I'm not sure what else you, want from me as far as any.
I guess, what we're asking is, are you spending enough time that you need to be reimbursed in some way for this? Because now, since then, you really haven't been reimbursed in your position.
No, I haven't been reimbursed necessarily for, I know that
As part of the zone,
as acting as
Yes.
the zone attorney. I don't know that I need reimbursement, but obviously there's some, it takes away some of my time
Mhm.
from Walsh County matters. So I guess there is some value to Walsh County that's maybe some loss of value or something that I guess I would support the fact that probably there is, if Cavalier County saying that there's value to them providing those administrative services, then definitely I think under the same analysis, there would be some value to my services to the zone as well.
well, and it might not even have any, you know, might not matter on whether we make the decision today to go ahead and keep Cavalier as the host county, but at least maybe starting at the beginning of the year to keep track and then, say that we need, like the zone board could get together, or when they talk about business, that they could somehow have something for the state's attorney and not just to assume that she's gonna take time out of her schedule in Walsh County to do those duties. So, does that sound fair to you?
It does sound fair to me. I would just add one other thing in my research regarding the zone plan and what would happen if Cavalier County. Said that they would not be the host county anymore. My understanding from the review of the statute, it would be my opinion, the statutes in the zone plan. Would be that, if none of the counties agree to be host county, which. That it would go to the state essentially to make a decision as to who the host county would be under those circumstances. So I just wanted to let you all know that because that's, I think that weighs into your decision as well.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
is there any other county that's got trouble with the host county wanting more money after all this was started? Or are we the only ones here?
No, I think there's been some in the news a little bit. You know, everybody does it a little different. You know, where some zones, they just keep all the money. And then some of the host county will keep all the money. And then the other counties are saying, well, if there's leftover, we should get it. And, you know, so it isn't just us.
Okay.
You know, I think there is some, now that we're really getting into it.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So my opinion, and I know Christie, we've been part of discussion on insurance and what we're doing going forward with Walsh County. And so we don't really know, I mean, that could change in future years as well, as far as what we're doing with the insurance to become more efficient and maybe more more appealing, if you will, from that perspective. But I also feel like, you know, I would assume you have an hourly rate, Kelly, or do you know what an hourly rate for you would be? You don't have to tell me, but I'm just saying, like, you know, if you're spending 45 minutes, I do think coming into 2025, you do start tracking, you know, your hours and being mindful of that because, you know, I'm feeling like we need to pay for 2024, but come into 2025, that might be something we look at to say we pay the difference between what our state's attorney, you know, what the request is and what our state's attorney has put in.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I don't disagree with that. However, Cavalier County is not giving us anything to look at. They are not tracking hours. They are not giving us rates of pay. They're not giving us anything. They're just saying cop up $10,000 because that's what we feel we need. You know, so I don't know if we need to put that on you, Kelly, to actually have to track the hours. To me, we should be able to look at what is your value worth
Okay.
as a retainer, you know, retained
Yeah.
attorney. Because they're not giving us anything. Cavalier County isn't giving us anything, so.
and I would say then. Well, no, I won't say anything. Danny was.
It was my impression that Stanley got guidance from the state. That's kind of.
I didn't get that impression from them,
No, I've never.
but maybe have a separate conversation with them.
I don't.
I know when we talked to Stanley there, and then I had a question, I said, so you're saying it costs you so much to run this, I said, and I brought up the state attorney, and I said, okay, what about the building grounds and snow removal? That costs the county. He sort of blew it off,
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, well, where do we stand with this, but to me, if we're gonna, and like I said, she must be a retainer. Well, that's some value to us, our equipment and what we do, and we clean the building and everything else. He wasn't receptive to it, but I figured, you know what, you're telling us it's costing you, that's not cost, you know, we're not giving it away, it's not cheap.
Right,
So
that
I-
is our building, but we still maintain the building and
Snowball,
everything
yeah.
like that. And so does Pembina County, but Cavalier, that is paid out of the. Yes, the zone, yeah, so, you know, I don't know that we're gonna come to any kind of a agreement, I really don't wanna. Put Jill in the predicament of, okay, now we're gonna switch host county. And who's gonna do it? I don't feel like. We need to put anything more on our auditor and her office. And, I mean, how do you negotiate this except that we need to negotiate a little bit for the state's attorney? Her time is valuable. We are very busy in the courtroom in Walsh County and, but yet, like I said, I don't wanna put any pressure on Jill because. We know that if anything switches with insurance. People will find another job because there are lots of jobs around. And. You know, we have so many dedicated people, I think, that work for social service. I don't wanna lose good employees, and I have been told by some employees, if it changes and they lose that, they will be looking for another job. So I think we're between a rock and a hard place. I agree with Jill about paying, and would it be for 2024 and then 2025 or 2025 and 2026?
It would be for 2024
Okay,
and
so,
2025.
so I would agree that we would pay that right away because we have the money in there in our indirect costs. It wouldn't cost then the county general any money. So, I mean, that's. I don't know if anybody else has any other suggestions, but I would look for a motion.
Madam Chair? Can I ask then,
Yes.
would we be able to send a bill to them for the state's attorney for 2024 and 2025? Could we start that as well? I mean, I don't see why we can't.
I'm thinking that could be in a motion, maybe, could that be in our motion that we agree to pay that $10,000 and somehow, I don't know how you wanna state it,
With the
that,
understanding.
with the understanding that we would get some reimbursement for, retaining our county state's attorney on the zone board and for the work that she does.
In my opinion, when we talked to Stanley, it wasn't even negotiable, he didn't even wanna talk about the state's attorney, and I'm going,
Well,
this is, and that's just my opinion. Danny was there and he got the same fee, I just. It's just like he doesn't know how to negotiate and everything, and I'm going, boy, this is just a one-man track. Are they willing to, and I get it, we don't wanna do it, but are they willing to lose that money? If they're getting overpaid, and my question is, so now we got money in the indirect to pay these 2 years, what happens going forward? There's no money in the direct to pay this, so the county's gonna come out of county general? How come we got money there now and we might not in 26, I guess is my question.
So, with the countywide cost allocation, Walsh County has been overpaid, and again, so with this next one, that's where Christine and I need to work with Diane Blaschko on that to make sure, because I believe there was a lot of things that weren't. So Walsh County's been overpaid, so we will not get a payment in January. And, I'm not even sure, I don't remember if there's even a payment in June. So, until the other thing is with the countywide cost allocation, it's 2 years behind.
Right.
So even if they weren't the host county, they're still gonna get the extra money for 2 more years. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we're 2 years behind. So the one we just completed was for 2022.
So also keep in mind, in Bismarck, there is talk about, you know, the state taking over. But whether that happens, I don't know, and depending on what happens today, it all could change. So there's a lot of things up in the air about, you know, what the county's gonna be in charge of, you know, what we're gonna pay. It's.
And wasn't the
So-
discussion at that meeting that the largest county, I mean, what are the if we refuse to pay and then it goes to the state deciding, I would assume there'd be high chances that Walsh would be labeled because we're largest.
But not
necessarily.
necessarily, no,
Because
of the,
that there was a big push by the state for Cavalier County to be the host
Yes.
county because they had the best benefits.
yes.
They were more in line with the state benefits
Mhm.
than any of the other
Yeah.
counties.
Yeah. So, you know, we can speculate, we can do whatever, but we still have to decide on what we.
Madam Chair, I have one more question. When you talk about getting together with Marcia or whoever's, would the state's attorney be part of that discussion instead of us going back and forth with Cavalier on us billing them, they billing us? Would the state's attorney be able to be included in any of that as an indirect cost for our county?
So I do fill out indirect costs separately, I think, from what Christie does for our times, and so we have to figure out an estimate how much time we spend on child protection cases, I think 4D cases, which are child support. So we have to come up with an estimate and turn that into Diane Blaschko. All the state's attorneys do. And I think a lot of state's attorneys don't, which is they came to us and did a presentation within the last couple of years to try to get more of those responses and more of the indirect costs, so.
And then can we utilize some of the other time then that you are spending for the zone as a whole? Can that be added in there as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's what I
have
need,
to,
yeah.
I'm gonna talk to Diane about
Okay,
that.
perfect, yes.
I think next time I have to fill that out, I'm gonna ask some more questions
Yes.
about how I should. Estimate whether I should both estimate both the zone cost and the
Mhm.
other just Walsh County cases
Right.
costs.
Yes, exactly, yes.
I think that we would have a case, you know, to prove that our state's attorney is spending this time for the zone. The zone is Cavalier, Pembina, and Walsh County. Everyone is benefiting from it, and if they're not, you know, contributing to it, it's not fair to Pembina and Walsh County. So, Christie, you had.
I was just gonna explain that cost share.
Mhm.
So my understanding is, when we're filling that form out, we're just putting what we budgeted. So with the zone, the budget has cut so much because so much is going to direct costs, not indirect costs.
Yep.
So when we're looking at that, when we were filling it out, we were just looking at those items. It wasn't until that meeting that we attended that we realized that there's a lot that we're missing out on. When they're looking at that building, that's not budgeted by the zone, but when they're looking at that building, they have a big calculation on what percentage of like janitorial, how much of that building is associated to the zone. And so even though it's not budgeted through the zone, we can submit for reimbursement. And that's where a lot of that money has snow removal, grass, all that stuff that's not on that budget. And I don't think that that was ever understood prior to this. So I think, yes, there's a lot of room, but I don't think, yeah, we're not gonna get any payment, this year, no. But yes, there's plenty of room.
See, Stanley did mention that when we move forward to put something, I didn't understand the form or whatever
Yeah.
he was talking about, but he did mention that.
Yeah, it was eye-opening, because they do require you to submit everything, and it's like, it's not associated to the zone, what does it matter how many highway department employees are there and all that, but they're figuring a percentage of the zone employees, even for like payroll and stuff, so they can figure out on their spreadsheet, how many, what percentage of time does payroll take for the zone, for the sheriff's department, for the highway department, all that, and then that's where the money is getting kicked back. And I don't think Walsh County ever understood that.
Nobody really explained it to us.
No, and yeah, exactly.
If nobody knew it, they couldn't explain it, so.
And that's where Jason came in.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
You
work in
know,
progress.
he's the one
Yeah.
that I think really dug in to understand it
Mhm.
and helped us to understand it, cause I don't think anybody did understand.
Right.
Don't-
Not just Walsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Everybody.
It's, I'm not putting
Probably
blame
in
on
all 53 counties.
Yes, yes.
Christie, did you have?
Yes, I was just gonna say, you know, from that meeting, Stanley is the one who planted the seed that our state's attorney was not getting reimbursed. He is the one who, I don't think any of us would have even realized it, but he's the one who brought up that they want this 10,000 for their administrative costs, for their additional administrative costs. But he did plant the seed and he said, you know, just like you, Walsh County, you're not getting reimbursed for your state's attorney representation. So he opened the can of worms. I think we need to look at it. I don't think it should be all about the indirect cost, because they're not making this 10,000 about the indirect cost. They feel that's an additional cost to their county. I feel our state's attorney representation is additional cost to our county. So I think we need to come up with a dollar amount that we feel we should be asking for her being retained.
And Madam Chair, this is 4 years. I mean, this started in 2020 and we haven't gotten anything from
No,
state's
but
attorney.
we can't go back to that, I don't believe. Can we?
Well, they're asking for money in
Sounds
24
like-
that's already done.
Well, right, because we're behind 2 years. We can go back 2 years, but not back. I don't know that we can go back 4 years. I'm just saying too, I don't, you know, then we're really nitpicking each other and I don't wanna start.
We don't wanna go there.
There either. So, I mean, I would entertain a motion. Cause I can't make it, so.
Do you wanna miss two separate motions?
Probably better. wouldn't it?
Maybe that'd be easier to keep track of.
Well, I make a motion we pay the 10,000,
For the 2 years?
2 years.
Second.
I'll
I
second
don't
it.
really see that we have a choice.
No, we're under the
Out
barrel
of the
there.
indirect funds, out of the indirect?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Is there any more discussion? Any more discussion?
Well, I would just like to say that the only reason I would be okay with this is because I don't want to hurt the employees.
Yeah.
That is the only reason. Otherwise, I don't like being strong armed like this.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Okay, I will take the roll. Christie,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Danny,
Yes,
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried. Okay, now I would entertain a motion for the state's attorney reimbursement.
I feel like we need a dollar amount first. Do we want to put that on one person to make that motion, or do we want to discuss that?
Well, we can, I mean. Yeah, we can discuss it, that's fine.
So Madam Chair, can I
Yep,
ask?
yes,
So I feel that our state's attorney, the value is at least 10,000. But however, that can't all come from Cavalier County, correct? It would have to be
Pembina.
10,000 split, you know, with Pembina as well. But do you feel that's fair, Kelly? Because you're more in the know on that than I am.
So that would be,
30.
are you saying a month?
No,
No.
Okay, what are
A
you,
one
okay,
time.
for the year, one
for,
time,
for the
for the
year,
year.
10,000 from
Each county.
each county,
No,
Pembina?
divided by three,
So,
No, 10,000 divided by.
Okay, two,
three,
three,
3 is, I guess that's what I'm
Okay.
thinking.
30-some, 3300.
Just to come up with an
Mhm.
idea of a number.
So that's approximately, it's a little under $1,000 a month. Yeah,
Mhm.
see, it's been a while since well, it's been forever since I've worked in the civil side of that, but I don't think that's unreasonable, somewhere between $500 to $1,000 a month, I don't believe. That does not strike me as unreasonable.
Because all of a sudden you get a lawsuit and you spend a lot of time on it, or you get, you know, whatever, you spend, just all those things you named. You've spent a lot of time researching and doing and never being reimbursed for it.
So at 10,000, that'd be about 800 a month. Roughly $9,600.
Roughly, and if you consider that as a retainer, noting that sometimes there might not
Right,
be.
Sure.
There's an ebb and flow,
Yes,
right? Sometimes they
Yes.
might need you a lot one month, other times they might not need you at all.
yes,
So
Madam
that's
Chair,
about 275 a county a month.
Okay, let's take turns because people from there count.
so I mean, I think that is there's a good point to be made too, like they're asking for $10,000 for administrative costs. And we have a state's attorney, right? Like, I mean, if you spend 10 hours average, so like you said, that may not be every month. But hourly, if you look at that, I believe you're worth more than that. I mean, I'm just saying
Sure,
from a perspective of. That is just something to make sure that you own, because
Mhm.
that it's very different. We are not asking people to do payroll at a deputy 2 or whatever position. We are asking for an expert opinion.
I fully agree. So maybe we should go 5,000 from each county, 15,000. Maybe that would be more kosher. Because it is like comparing apples to oranges, a state's attorney to someone processing the payroll.
Ernie,
So getting back to talking to Stanley when he said that one form, and you just mentioned it about them. He mentioned put it back in there. So is there a place in that? I don't know where he was going with that. I don't.
But he's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Okay, that's,
Because they really are getting credit for all the employees. And they're getting the 20, you know, it's 25%, and they feel they're getting 25% of their costs. They feel they can be getting 100% of the costs. So really, it would be the same with the state's attorney. Walsh County would be getting 25% of the cost. So, yeah,
answer me. I guess I wasn't following what.
Yep.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, will we be able to use that 10,000 as a cost and then get 25% of that back? On that cost share, when we're filling that form out in 2 years?
so as long as Kelly's able to incorporate what the time that she's using, so if that was. Cause I think it's hours, isn't it hours that you have to report?
well, or a percent.
Percent,
A
okay.
lot of times they want us to do percent. I think we can do hours, but this last one, you know, I filled out a percent based by my asking my other employees and then trying to figure out myself how much time. And it's hard because you're having to estimate from 2 years ago.
yeah.
Exactly.
And so a lot of times I get confused on that, and so I have to be honest, this whole cost allocation thing, I didn't fully understand till I attended that meeting either. I mean, yeah, I have a law degree, but math is not my strong suit. For the reasons I have a law degree, it's not math, right? But so I have to admit that I probably yeah, that was a very difficult concept for me to understand, that whole cost allocation thing too, and so that meeting was very helpful for me as well.
So we have to remember, we're just one of 3 counties.
Mhm.
The other 2 have to agree to this.
Yeah.
we do have a zone board meeting tomorrow, so here in Walsh County. So,
Well, Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we assess Kelly's value at $15,000 for her representation on the zone board and request a third from each county.
I'll second.
That's your,
And
yeah, and
sorry, I'm writing all this stuff down. Okay, and Amy, you seconded?
Yes.
Okay, any more discussion?
Madam Chair, I just wanna say for Kelly, I don't wanna put more work on her, but I feel like that would be in the end less work. I mean, even if it's once a month that you reflect back on, like how, you know, how many hour, like, I think it just can maybe show your value more so that you're aware of this, I am putting this amount of time, or this is pulling me away. And then we can feel better about not just saying this is the value, there's some proof behind it, so.
Well, also, I think, $5,000 a year to retain, legal counsel from is very important, especially in this kind of department where, I mean, it's needed all the time. It's just not, nilly-willy, oh, you decide this and that. It's gotta be, there's too many legal loopholes and questions and everything else, so I think it's fair, and I hope that the other two colonies think it's fair too, so. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, then on assessing the, Pembina County and Cavalier County, each $5,000 a year, and that includes us to, retain the services from the Walsh County State's Attorney Kelly Cole.
Going forward or back to?
For these next. Well,
2020, I should have made that part of my
Yes.
motion, I was excuse me, I would say for 2024, 2025
correct, okay,
moving forward.
and forward.
okay, any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes,
Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried. So, Jill and I will. We'll bring this tomorrow to the meeting and I'm sure you'll be busy tomorrow, so,
I have a 10 a.m. court hearing.
yeah, and you need to prepare that. If we have questions.
If for
we
some
can text
reason it
you.
were to be waived or something like that, I could probably jump on and. What time does it start? 9.
9, yeah.
I could probably jump on at 9 for a little while or head over there at 9.
I'm wondering if we just couldn't have the meeting here tomorrow. Would that be possible? To be a little easier or? Cause you just do it on your iPad if we have any Zoom. Maybe you could
hook up down here.
yeah, and maybe just send out another email that'll be in the commissioner room. It's just a little easier if we want Kelly to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this room is always available. If that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay, any more?
I would like to thank Jill. She
Yes.
sort of got thrown into this and is a mediator, and I just feel sorry for you that you probably shouldn't have been here, but I would like to thank you. You've been open and pretty fair with us.
Yeah. She's done a great job.
Yeah, I just.
Okay.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Kelly.
Thank you. Okay,
She went tough.
is there any other unfinished business? Any unfinished business? Hearing none, we'll